Ever since I was young, I knew the world didn't welcome me. But despite everything, I believe there will come a time when I can help someone. I hope for that. One day, Kaori was in trouble, pleading with some men to leave her alone. They kept insisting, not listening to her. Yuya, though nervous, decided to step in and told them that Kaori didn't like what they were doing. The men mocked him and even tried to hurt him. Despite his fear, Yuya remembered his grandpa's words about kindness and courage. He knew he couldn't ignore someone in need, even if it meant facing danger himself. Ever since he was very young, Yuya knew that the world didn't welcome him. From constant bullying at school to harsh treatment at home, it always felt like he didn't belong. Kids at school called him fatso and ugly, making every day a challenge. His own family wasn't much better. His parents were strict, always telling him to stay out of their way, and his younger siblings never missed a chance to remind him that he was different. They were attractive and confident, while Yuya felt invisible and worthless. But through all of this, there was one person who believed in him, his grandpa. Grandpa was the only one who treated him with kindness. He would tell Yuya that no matter how tough things got, he should never lose his kindness. He believed that helping others, even in small ways, would eventually bring happiness to his life. He would say, "Yuya, don't let the world beat you down. Stay strong, be kind, and good things will come." Those words were his lifeline, especially after Grandpa passed away. When he died, Yuya inherited his house and belongings. His parents tried to take everything from him, but Grandpa had made sure they couldn't. So, they gave up and cut all ties with him, leaving him alone. Life continued to be tough. At his graduation, his classmates mocked him, even writing cruel things in his yearbook. He lost his part-time job when he was late one day, and his manager, who had already hired someone else, fired him on the spot. Everything seemed pointless. He started to wonder if there was any purpose to his efforts, or if he even had a future. One day, while wandering around his grandpa's house, Yuya stumbled upon a hidden room filled with strange items from his travels. Among these items was a mysterious door. Yuya was amazed at how well everything was working. The door to another world was even more powerful than he had imagined. It felt just like a video game, where objects could be turned into money. He noticed that only people he allowed could use the door, and it would appear whenever he wanted. Curious, he checked his stats, which were all at 1. He found the idea of adding bonus points to his stats exciting, especially since he got extra points for being an otherworlder and a first-time traveler. Exploring his grandpa's house, he found incredible weapons like the Omni Sword and Death Scythe, all marked with his name. Yuya realized that everything inside the fence was his to explore. He quickly learned skills like swordsmanship, and he wondered if it was because he was an otherworlder. Then monster appear near his house and tries to attack the house, but the barrier protects from the outside attack. And then Yuya tries to test his martial arts skill and weapon, then he throw the spear to the monster and kill him. Yuya shocked he killed the monster with one-shot spear. The HUD displayed his growing stats and titles, showing his progress. He tried the asset conversion, turning items like the Great Fong of the blood-stained ogre into money. In no time, he had 1,500,000 yen. The money felt real, yet it was made from other world items. It seemed perfect, like the world had finally given him a chance. At night, Yuya's body started changing, and by morning, he noticed he looked different. Since his mirror was broken and he never liked looking at himself, he didn't pay much attention to his appearance. He saw that his clothes were not right and found some new ones in the house. The royal silk pants and shirt fit him perfectly and stayed clean. He also noticed he was a bit taller than before. Yuya spent some time planting and watering his garden. As he explored, Yuya was amazed at how his life had changed. The world that once ignored him now offered many new opportunities, and he wondered what else this new reality might bring. Suddenly, a hell slime monster appeared in his garden. Yuya defeated it easily with a single strike from his spear and got a rare necklace. He wore the necklace, which increased his level, and exchanged a magic stone for money. He bought a new school uniform and cooked curry using vegetables from his garden. For the first time, he felt truly happy and free. Later, a goblin elite attacked his garden. Yuya used his powerful one-shot technique with his spear to defeat it. This technique was so strong that it easily defeated every monster he faced. He stored the items, but didn't level up because the monster was too weak. Yuya worried that if he returned to his old world, the bullies would start tormenting him again. The next morning, when he went to school, everyone stared at him, thinking he was a model. His younger brother and sister, who used to bully him, were shocked by his new look. They thought he was a transfer student because he looked so different. In class, when Yuya sat down, the bullies from before came over and asked if he was a new student. Yuya introduced himself as the same old Yuya, but they couldn't believe how much he had changed. They were stunned to see that the good-looking person in front of them was the same Yuya they once mocked. Later, Yuya checked himself in a mirror and was astonished by how different he looked. In the evening, his younger brother bullied him again, asking how he had suddenly changed. Despite Yuya's attempts to explain, his siblings continued to taunt him, calling him a useless older brother with no future. Just then, a girl named Kaori gently asked if he was truly Yuya Tenju. Kaori walked up to Yuya and recognized him as Yuya Tenju. She noticed he looked thinner and mentioned an incident at the convenience store where some men surrounded her. At first, Yuya was confused, but then he remembered what had happened. Kaori explained that she wanted to thank him for helping her, even though it might seem rude to investigate him. Kaori then surprised Yuya by inviting him to join Usui Academy, a school he knew was highly prestigious. She introduced herself as a member of the student council and shared that her father, the chairman of the academy's board, wanted Yuya to attend because of his bravery. Yuya, feeling unworthy and unsure of his academic skills, hesitated. But Yuta and Sora, who were with them, saw the chance and jokingly asked if they could join the academy instead, bragging about their own potential. Kaori firmly declined, saying she wouldn't accept anyone who insulted Yuya. Kaori reassured Yuya that the academy values character more than academic achievements, making his enrollment possible. The butler suggested showing Yuya around the school instead of discussing it further. He offered to inform Yuya's current school if he needed to leave early. Kaori encouraged Yuya to come along, and as they left, Yuta and Sora were upset. As Yuya thought about the situation, he considered how Usui Academy seemed like a world beyond his reach, something he had always believed until now. Later, in the chairman's office, Tsukasa Hoju thanked Yuya for saving his daughter and welcomed him to the academy. Yuya felt overwhelmed and grateful. At first, Yuya was reluctant to accept Kaori's invitation to Usui Academy, downplaying his actions as nothing special. Kaori reassured him that, unlike others who ignored the situation, he was the only one who stepped in to help her. She emphasized that such bravery was rare and praiseworthy. Tsukasa, the chairman, encouraged Yuya to be proud of what he did, saying that the school values character highly. Tsukasa then directly invited Yuya to join the academy and offered to cover his tuition as a thank you for saving his daughter. Yuya still had doubts, feeling unworthy of attending a school known for its elite students. Tsukasa explained that being a genius isn't just about talent, but finding the right path quickly. He assured Yuya that hard work leads to success and that everyone's abilities grow with effort and experience. Tsukasa invited Yuya to spend a day at the school, suggesting it would be a valuable experience. As Yuya was introduced to Ms. Sawada, a respected teacher, she encouraged him to join her class. Though he was nervous, Tsukasa reassured him that Ms. Sawada's classes were both approachable and popular with students. Inside the classroom, Yuya felt anxious about fitting in with such capable students. But as Ms. Sawada encouraged him to join, Yuya reminded himself that it couldn't be worse than what he had already faced. Yuya Tenju introduced himself, saying, "I'm Yuya Tenju. I'll be joining your class for a trial enrollment at this school. Thank you for having me." Inside, he was anxious, wondering why no one was reacting. He even questioned if it was okay for him to cry or if he could just leave. Meanwhile, several students reacted internally to Yuya's introduction. Ms. Sawada then broke the silence, telling everyone to stop staring and instructed Yuya to sit by the window at the back of the classroom. She started the lesson and told Yuya to ask Hayadu to share her textbook with him. Nervously, Yuya introduced himself to Yukine, wondering if she disliked him. At the same time, Kaori was hoping that Yuya was getting along well with everyone. The lesson began on pure substances and mixtures, with Ms. Sawada explaining that a pure substance is made up of only one element. She then invited students to share their knowledge. Yuya noticed that the lessons were similar to what he was used to, but the students here were much more proactive and engaged than he had experienced before. Soon, Yuya found himself bombarded with questions from various students. Ryu noticed that Yuya seemed overwhelmed and suggested everyone calm down. Apologies were quickly made, and Ryu reassured Yuya that everyone was just curious about him. Ryu introduced himself and asked if he could call Yuya by his first name. Yuya agreed, though he found Ryu's cheerful personality a bit overwhelming. Ryu brushed it off and invited Yuya to join him for lunch in the cafeteria. Yuya was surprised but happily accepted the offer. When they arrived at the cafeteria, Yuya was amazed by the variety on the menu. Ryu confirmed it and mentioned that the daily special was even free. Yuya felt like he was in paradise. As they looked for a place to sit, Shingo noticed them and offered a seat, introducing himself and greeting Yuya. Ryu mentioned that he watched Super Heavy Mecha Lord Gadrobo and loved it, with Shingo agreeing and suggesting Yuya ask him for more recommendations. Yuya felt a bit self-conscious, thinking people were staring at him because of his different uniform. Ryu reassured him that it was his face they were looking at. Shingo then asked if Yuya was in any clubs, and Yuya said no, before asking about Ryu and Shingo's activities. Ryu said he was in the Going Home Club. Yuya was surprised when he learned that Ryu was good at every sport, which led many clubs to invite him. However, Ryu ended up in the Going Home Club because he couldn't decide on one sport to commit to. Ryu explained that he enjoys taking on challenges and having fun. Shingo revealed that he was in the game club and was excited to show Yuya the latest game they had. Ryu invited Yuya to join them in playing, and they all agreed to have fun together. Later, Tsukasa asked Yuya what he thought of OCI Academy. Yuya found it incredible, noting that the lessons were easy to understand, the facilities were excellent, and the students were friendly, treating him as an equal. Tsukasa encouraged Yuya to attend their school, reassuring him of his worth. Yuya felt grateful and expressed his desire for continued guidance. Afterward, Yuya and Kaori talked about the possibility of Yuya attending the school. Kaori invited Yuya to explore the shops around the area after school. She mentioned that some of the shops were featured on TV. Kaori admitted that she didn't have many chances to hang out with friends because of her family situation, but was excited about the opportunity to visit the shops with Yuya. Yuya was a bit surprised at first, but quickly calmed down and suggested something he was excited for Kaori to try. Kaori, knowing how tasty the place's treats were, happily agreed. Yuya felt relieved, glad that he had brought special items from another world to make their time together even better. As they enjoyed their treats, Kaori smiled and said how much she loved sweet things. Yuya wanted to try everything on the menu, but also didn't want to overeat and gain back the weight he had lost. Curious, he asked Kaori how she recognized him even though he looked so different now. Kaori explained that she recognized his eyes. They were still the same honest and kind eyes she knew, even though he had slimmed down. Yuya was touched by her words and wondered if something was on his face. Kaori then playfully mentioned that it was surprising he still called her Hoja-san and invited him to call her Kaori instead. Yuya hesitated but finally agreed. Kaori offered him a bite of her treat, saying that sharing would help them try everything on the menu together. After some initial awkwardness, they both relaxed and enjoyed their food, sharing a light moment. Kaori apologized for her earlier reaction, explaining that she was just happy to be called by her first name. Yuya also apologized and suggested they move on without any hard feelings. From a distance, two girls noticed their interaction and thought it was really cute. Meanwhile, Yuya reflected on how he had returned to the other world after his trial enrollment at OCI Academy. Yuya felt both nervous and determined. He knew that once his enrollment was finalized, he might get really busy again. While walking in his garden, he encountered a hell slime monster. Even though he was scared, he defeated it with one swing of his sword. Checking his stats, he saw he was at level 235, but noticed he was leveling up more slowly now. Realizing he needed tougher challenges, he decided to explore beyond his home. As he stepped outside, he heard a human scream and rushed toward the sound. He was shocked to find a dead body. Suddenly, a powerful enemy appeared, a goblin general with strong stats. Even though Yuya couldn't match the goblin's strength or speed, he knew he had special abilities that could help him win. Determined, he fought bravely and used his unique powers to defeat the goblin general. After the fight, Yuya checked on a girl he had seen nearby. Her guards arrived soon after and found her asleep under a tree. Using his invincibility skill, Yuya watched from a distance as the guards woke her up.